Today we're going to show you how to install our through-the-floor subframe connectors in a Fox body. This car, for example, here we've already had the full interior pulled out of it. You definitely want to pull your seats and your carpeting, get them all the way out because you're going to do a lot of cutting and welding to do this. Cover your glass with cardboard or tape. Make sure the sparks from cutting through the floor don't get in and tear up your windshield. Once you have the interior removed, what you want to do is get the car up and level it off. You want it level side to side and front to rear. You don't want the car sitting crooked and welding the subframes in there with the car crooked, otherwise your car will stay crooked once these are welded in here. So you want to make sure that you're up on jack stands, supported underneath the rockers, and that everything is level side to side and front to rear. Then what we'll do, what we typically do, we lay out, make sure all of our parts are here, our plates for the back bulkhead, our rocker plates, which we'll cut and form. We cut them with a Metabo and put a little bend in it. Our front 2.5x4 plate, our 3x4 plate, and obviously the main body, which this one is labeled up here in the front. They are cut and formed so that they go in the channel and then tie through to the rear bulkhead where the rear frame rail is welded to the bulkhead also. They are contoured to form left to right and up and down front and rear. So they've got a crown in them this way and a crown in them that way. We have a kicker. Sometimes because of the build tolerances in these cars, one of these kickers ends up being a little bit short. What we do is we do add an extra piece of metal. We found that maybe 1 out of every 20 or 30 cars that we've done here are pre-cut kickers. One's a little bit short and doesn't line up right, so we provide an extra piece of material just in case you run into that problem. What we'll be doing is having one of our guys install these, and typically what we start doing is, you can see the spot welds where the front subframe is welded to the floor pan. We typically cut this notch out first as a guideline of where everything's supposed to go, and then we slowly cut back out to the sides and make sure our piece of 2x2, or you take this spare piece, fits down inside that channel. You know, you take a right angle grinder, grind the material back so it fits down inside. Sometimes your lower frame rail's a little bit beat up from people jacking their car up from their frame rail. It's got some dents that pop up through, and it won't allow your subframe to sit flat. And again, we take this very same piece, lay it in there, and you hit it with a hammer and push the dents back out. You cut through there where the frame rail is. This crown for the seat is typically up a little bit higher, so you cut through there, this high portion here. We've already removed the bulkhead because we are going to 25.5 this car, and that will be a future video also. We'll lay this in on the back of the frame rail, trace a line on it, trim it to fit, and then MIG weld this all in. Same with these plates, we'll get those in. When Frank's installing these, we'll show you the measurement that we need to take from this seam to the front edge of the front kicker, and then typically this fat kicker is angle cut to fit in, and it'll lay pretty good. You want to leave about 1/2 inch in the back for yourself to weld to get your MIG gun in or your TIG torch in there. But that's pretty good. It's an overview description. Let's let some sparks start to fly. the major cutting is done, and if you paid attention to the video, if you measure twice, cut once, and take a lot of time and care, you'll have a very good fitting part. The better the fit up, the better the weld that you have. Next, we're going to show you how to measure and install the front outrigger and how to set the rear uprigger up for welding it in place. This car, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to show you how to install this. But like we said, this is going to be a 25.5 when it's done. So we're not going to fully weld this bar in, but we will fully install these plates. This one we're just going to tack in place and show you how we would do it if we were installing it, so that you can do it at home. And then we'll be replacing this with 1 5/8 083 for the 25.5. So on with the video. All right, so we have everything cut and fit in here, and we're getting ready to weld, so we'll go over a recap. Our subframe connectors are cut and crowned to fit both the shape of the floor, front to back, and side to side. It's cut and crowned, so it goes from the front frame rail into the rear frame rail. We have all of our plates trimmed and welded. The only thing that we have to do now, we're going to pull everything back out. We'll probably tack the front kicker and the rear kicker, pull everything out, weld the bottom of them, and then we'll come back in and we'll grind the paint off the floor so that we can get a nice clean weld. So in a few minutes, I'm going to have one of my guys come back through here, and they are going to start welding this in, and we'll have a final recap of the video. We'll have some shots of how we weld them in, so you guys know if you want to use a MIG welder, you want to turn it down really low. One more thing I want to reiterate is we cut the bulkhead out of here. This car is going to be a lightweight carbon fiber 25.5 with a big Godzilla motor with a lot of boost in it, so stay tuned for that also. But we cut the seat bulkhead out of here. Typically, most people won't do that. It's a lot of work, but if they want to, they can. If you want to leave your bulkhead in, what we typically do is cut an inch wider on each side. We just cut it right out, and then we do all our cutting and welding, and then we trim that bulkhead, put it back in, and MIG weld it in, so you can't even tell that, you know, we took it out. Do a little bit of metal finishing like we did on the floor pan here. So let's get to welding. So we're finished welding in the through the floor subframes. Again, go over, we did not weld this in all the way. We're gonna pull this out. We're gonna do something different for the 25.5 configuration so that we can offer a full 25.5 cage package sometime down the road. But if you're gonna use this subframe connector with our cage kit, which is one of the best fitting Fox Body and SN95 cage kits out there, when you place the rear kicker from the bulkhead to the center line of the rear kicker, you want to set it 1 5/8 inches. And for the front kicker, from the bulkhead to the center line of the front kicker is 48 3/16. Again, everything is MIG welded in here. We took our time, we cut, we ground, we did a really nice fit up so we didn't have big gaps to fill. So our MIG welds look great and these things fit perfect. These are probably the best foundation you can do for a cage kit is to have the through the floor subframes in here. Even though they come up above the floor, you can still put a stock seat back in and the carpeting will lay over this. It's not too intrusive. You really won't notice it. We have put stock seats and carpet back in a lot of cars with rear seats, and you can't really tell that this subframe connector's in here. The carpeting just sits up a little bit higher than the floor. So the whole process, we've got it step by step. Again, your measurements are 1 5/8 to the center line of the rear kicker from this bulkhead, and 48 3/16 from the rear bulkhead to the center line of the front kicker. All our plates are in, they're MIG welded, and Frank has showed you every single step on how to make it look like this. This is the passenger side. All you do is the mirror version for the driver's side, and everything should fit fine, and you'll have a great foundation for your Fox Body Mustang. Again, if you want to buy a set of these subframe connectors, or check out any of the other parts that we have, www.teamzmotorsports.net.